Okay, now that that's done, what we want to do next is to attach the bodice to the skirt. So, and that's step 10. And that says to pin the skirt to the bodice, matching centers, stitch, press seam toward bodice. But let's just make sure we get a little bit more detail. Not only do we want to match the centers, which includes matching the seams. So this is the seam from the bodice. All right. So we're going to make sure that we pin that seam and match it with the seam in the skirt. Okay. So we're going to match seams. Then of course, as we move on, we'll end up matching the centers and match the entire bodice to the skirt. So let's just see. So if we lay this with the skirt hanging off my table, move things over. Okay, so we've got the skirt part. This is the center front, because this is where we base the pleat. And as you see, the different markings that are still here, and here is the seam for the skirt. All I've done that's different is I have serged my seams, and if I flip it over, you just see here's the side seam, there's a pocket. But following the instructions, we just clip this. So I'll clip these threads off from the serger and at the top. But this should be open, seams are open, and the seam should be open on the skirt that the top, the bodice that we sewed together earlier and pressed open. So see, here's the seam open here. So all we're going to do is take a pin, all right, take a pin, actually place it in the center of that seam. So as you see, it will be here. Right here, comes out right in the center of the seam, and then we will just attach it in the center of the seam on the skirt. All right, and once we attach that, we'll see what the rest, we'll fit the rest of it in, matching the centers and all the way to the back of the skirt and the back of the bodice. See? So this should match. This seam matches. Then we have our little other markers to attach. But basically should all just match, or fit right in. Okay? I always try and make sure that the ends, like I said, the ends match, the seams match, then the center will match. All right, everything falls in line. So you'll see what it looks like when we finish pinning that. Okay, so see, I've got this pin matching the seam, centering the seam, and matching it to the back. And then the rest of the pins just kind of make sure that those are just right along the edge. All right, so I've gotten a pin here, and I'll continue pinning until I pin the edge. All right, and then we will attach it, sew it 5/8 of an inch all the way across. Press the seam up. That's what the instructions are saying. We'll press those up. But what I will also do is I will serge mine and press it up, then come back and we're ready to put in the zipper. Okay? So net is everything is matched. Seams are matched. The edge is matched. Center is matched. And we'll be ready to put in the zipper. Okay? That's where we are. Okay, now the skirt is attached to the bodice. Okay? Everything matched out fine. And here it looks just like the instructions on the guide sheet. It's opened up. I have it flat. Alright, shoulders here. Shoulders to the back. Okay, arm's eye. We've got that side seam on the top, side seam on the bottom, pockets toward the front. You got your pleat. Everything looks exactly like the instructions on the guide sheet. All right, it's totally opened up. So with that seam attaching the bodice to the skirt, I've just serged it, as you can see, and I pressed it up. I used the hem. Remember, here's our hem right here. All right, I just placed it underneath and applied some steam as I pressed it. All right, I didn't press it on the flat ironing board. So now we're ready to, as we said earlier, attach the zipper. Now, the instructions actually are for an invisible zipper on this particular pattern. It is for an invisible zipper. So we're going to follow those instructions. And it's you would start with one of the seams, the center back seam now. We're going to start with it just turned on the right side, and we will apply the zipper as just following those instructions. So I have to change my foot. It requires a different foot for your machine, so you have to find out what that is. Now, if you're using a different process for applying the zipper, then I can show you that in another, well, we can probably go on YouTube and find that, how to apply a zipper using the other method. Okay, if you haven't purchased an invisible zipper. I purchased an invisible zipper. I have the invisible zipper foot. I'm going to change it on my machine. I'm going to follow the instructions here, and the next time you see me, you'll be looking at step number 11, where it says you're going to open the zipper on the outside, pin the zipper to the left back, which is what we have here, and then stitch it down following those instructions from your sometimes you have certain guidelines on your instructions on your zipper foot, so you got to follow those. So we will be inserting the zipper in this, and then after the zipper is in, we will start with the lining and the finishing. Okay, so we're ready for inserting the zipper. Okay, I flipped over the fabric, our garment that's in construction on the right side. So the right side is facing me, just like the instructions on the guide sheet. So this is the left back, and this is where we start with applying the invisible zipper. Basically what you're going to do, here's the invisible zipper. Utilizing the foot, we are going to turn it on the wrong side. See? Wrong side facing you. Okay? So it's basically right sides together initially. We place it just right along the edge, and then we will stitch it using the special foot. This is the thread from my serger that I'm going to clip off, and we're going to stitch it all the way down following the instructions. All right, so remember, right sides together. So the right side of the zipper is on the right side of the fabric, and the wrong side of the zipper, of course, is facing you, and we'll stitch it down using our special foot. All right, okay. As you can see, as we said earlier, the zipper has been stitched with right sides together to the garment, to the bodice, the center back, basically, the bodice and the skirt. Now, with it laying exactly the same as we stitched it, all we're going to do is just kind of flip this over. All right, flip it over. It's stitched and it's open. I mean, the zipper's closed. Turn it over, as we were looking at earlier. Then I'm going to take the fabric, the remainder of the center back, and this is where we're going to match up our seam. There's a seam here that we want to match. We want the other one to just come directly across from it, so we won't have one seam just mismatched above or below this one, which will throw off everything else. So what we're going to do is just take the remaining of the dress and taking this wrong side, see, it's on the wrong side, but right sides together, okay? And we're just going to take the top edge of the neck back to the zipper. We're going to pin it. All right, and when it comes down to matching this seam, we're going to make sure that those are directly across from each other. They're hitting right on the seam. Okay, so you don't want the seam to be up here, or you don't want it to be lower. So you want them to match. All right, so all we're going to do is make sure that that's pinned, and we can pin it. I primarily pin it this way, so you end up kind of lifting it up. All I did was, just as it's laying here, just take this and lift it up so you can pin it. All right, and then we'll pin it all the way down, matching that seam, and then we'll stitch it. Okay, what I did was I turned my garment under construction. I turned it with the zipper, after I got it situated, I turned it with the zipper closer to me. See, as opposed to it going lengthwise like this, right? When we first talked about pinning it, I just simply turned it so that it would be closer to me. And I'm not trying to reach over on the table. But if you notice, what I did is I took a pin and I pinned the seam, pierced it in between the seam here, and matched it on the other side. All right, and then from there I pinned the remaining of the zipper, so that once I stitch it, then the seams will match. All right, so I tried to match it here. Some people would prefer to baste it, and that's quite okay. Once it's pinned, or baste it, do a basting stitch, hold it together, and then come back and pin it down. All right, so hopefully it won't be off too much, and it will match perfectly. So next step, of course, is stitching it, but I just wanted to show you an easier way to get it done, as opposed to stretching over over that lengthwise of the whole garment. I just turned it crosswise and managed to match the seam together, and then pin the remainder of the zipper. So you see what it looks like, right? Okay. All right, I'm gonna stitch it down. Okay, and then before we stitch the zipper right here, we actually have to open the zipper. Open it all the way down, so we'll be able to stitch using that particular zipper foot. So for me to open it, what I'm going to do is take the what is this, the left side, and flip it over so the zipper is exposed, right? Take the entire garment, and I'm actually just opening up the garment as much as possible, turning it on the right side facing me, because as you see, you know, the sides are sewn together, so we can't open it all the way flat like we had before. So all we're doing is just opening this so we can see the zipper, the front of the zipper pull, right? And I'm just going to open the zipper. It's already pinned. I'll just unzip it. Alright, all the way down, and then once it's unzipped, then I'll be able to come back, of course, turn this over, and I'll be able to stitch it down, you know, because you're actually put it under the foot this way, okay, and stitch it down. Alright, so it'll be unzipped. So let's unzip it. I'll finish unzipping it so you'll see what I mean, just in case I've confused you. Okay, hold on, I'm sorry. Okay, this is the challenge, whereas I told you to baste it down before. Okay, you're gonna have to scratch that. You can't really baste it because you've got to open the zipper, and if it's basted you won't be able to, just like I have it pinned here. I have to actually unpin this where I was matching that seam. See where I was matching a seam? I have got to take that pin out in order for me to unzip it. Okay? So hopefully everything is going to match, because I actually have to take the pin out in order for me to unzip the remainder of the zipper so that we can stitch the zipper down. Okay, so see where it's, let's see, and as you can see from there, it's not going to match, even though I had it pinned. Once I open it up, see, take a look, that one, the seam is here, and the other one is just a little bit further down, which means I need to move it up to match, because I don't want the zipper, the seams to be off. Alright, which that's another thing that makes it look really homemade, when you've got the seams aren't matching. See, here's one seam, and then there's the other one. See if I can focus it better for you. Apparently not. See, there's one seam, there's the other, and they're off. You want them to match as if you had sewn up that zipper while the seam is attached. So I've got to do I've got to move it up a bit, all right, before I stitch it down. So that's what I'll do. Okay, so I took the pin out and I moved this, I shifted this side up a little bit, just up, and it's still, you know, it's working out just fine. I apologize because it's so hard to see, but it's really critical that these seams match, they are aligned. So now you can see that the seams match across from the zipper. So now what I'm going to do is just finish pinning the remainder of the zipper, all right, as I unzip the zipper and then stitch it down. Okay, now remember we still have that back seam that's not stitched all the way up, simply because that's the way that the invisible zipper goes in. So here's the back seam that we'll come back and stitch up after we finish the zipper. All right, so see what it looks like, detached. Okay, that's it. Okay, I managed to get the zipper in, and as you can see, the seams are matching across. All right, so all I did is of course I zipped it up now so you can see that the seams are matching pretty much, and followed the rest of the instructions with stitching the tab down on the seam and on each side. And the other one was, before I stitched the tab down, I took my zipper foot, took off the zipper foot for the invisible zipper and put on a regular zipper foot so I can get really close to the beginning of the zipper, and just stitched like right here, right alongside of it, so that when you turn it over, it looks like an invisible seam here, you know, and not an opening for the zipper. So here, see, I turned it over where you can see the zipper, and it looks pretty good. I'm a little bit concerned with the double stitches right there, but anyway, net of it, see, as you can see, the seams match right there across, and the rest of it is stitched up just like an invisible zipper. So if we turn it on the right side, you can see the zipper. Here's the zipper all the way down here. Seams are matching, and all I need to do is press. So what I'll do is what I skipped was following the directions. Also, you have to stitch a 5/8 of an inch seam in the remainder of that back center, the center back. All right. So before I stitched up this little piece, stitched the tabs down, I actually stitched an entire seam from the bottom up to where we started to put the zipper in, as far as you can go with the regular foot, and then I switched out and put a zipper foot in and stitched the remainder of the way. Okay, and now what I need to do is press my seam open. I'll using a seam roll, I'll press it open, and turning it back on the right side now, you know, it'll looks pretty neat. So this is the back. Now what we're ready to do is to start stitching the shoulders together with the lining. Now would be a really good time to try on the garment. Try it on to see if the arm's eye is too big, if it's fitting okay. If you need to make any additional alterations, now is a good time, because you have the zipper in. Basically what I do is I take the shoulders and I would baste them together, or pin if you can tolerate the, you know, if the pins are not going to come out. Unzip it, try it on, and see if I need to make any changes in this arm's eye. Now is a good time to take it up or let it out, and to make sure it's fitting okay right around your waistline, right up underneath the bust line, because it's a similar, this is more like an umpire type style. Okay, so we're moving along, and we'll have a chance to see what this looks like. You should be pretty pleased about now, because you know we're at a point where it's try on time. All right. So next, what we'll do, lining and finishing. Basically, it says that you prepare the bodice lining in the same manner as we prepared the bodice, which is on the other guide sheet. No, I'm sorry, which is right here at the top, number 2, where we're gonna stitch the dart in the back, stitch the dart in the front, sew the sides up. Then we will be able to come over to number 16, and we will turn up. Basically, it says turn inseam allowance on lower edge of, actually it says OG, of the bodice lining. See? And we're going to turn it up maybe 5/8 of an inch and press it. Then we will come here to number 17. We'll pin the lining to the bodice, and I'll show you how we're going to stitch that. Okay.